Hello friends, and welcome to Disturbing Reddit Stories. Today we'll dive into some very dark tales. Someone keeps knocking on my balcony door. Now, let me explain. I live in an average apartment, not great, not terrible. I've only been here a couple of months. I moved so I could be closer to my parents, who need more and more help in their old age. Honestly, this place was the cheapest option I could find. The neighborhood has always been a little sketchy petty theft, break-ins, that kind of thing. That's why I chose the 8th floor. I figured if someone wanted to rob me, at least they wouldn't be climbing 8 stories up to do it. That's what makes the knocking so unnerving. The balcony door is the sliding glass kind, thin enough that a strong person could probably shatter it. The first time it happened, I thought I imagined it a soft tap, 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 like knuckles against the glass. I froze in bed, waiting. Then it came again, louder. Knock, knock, knock. I should mention something. When I was a kid, I used to doorbell ditch people. I'd come up with clever ways to do it hiding in places so obvious nobody thought to check. I knew the thrill of being just out of sight while someone looked around, annoyed, thinking they were alone. That's exactly what this feels like. The knocking happens every few nights now, always between 2 and 3 a.m. I've stopped sleeping much. I've checked the balcony, no footprints, no signs of anyone climbing. 8 floors up, there shouldn't be. Last night, though, I made the mistake of pulling the curtains open quickly after the sound started. Just once. There was nothing there. Nothing except a faint smudge on the outside of the glass, a greasy oval right about where a forehead would press if someone had leaned close to peer in. I scrubbed it off with shaking hands. Tonight it's happening again. The knocking is sharper, more insistent. I haven't looked this time. I don't want to. But then I realized the rhythm 3 short knocks. A pause. 2 more. My old signature. The one I made up when I was a kid. I freeze, listening. After a long silence, I hear footsteps slow, dragging, moving away from the balcony. I almost convince myself it's over. Then my phone buzzes on the nightstand. A text from an unknown number. It just says, "Not as fun when you're the one being ditched, huh?" My hands are shaking when I glance at the balcony door, just for a second. The glass is dark, but I can see it, a long, still shadow pressed against the frame. Whoever or whatever it is never left. I think my girlfriend is a monster. My girlfriend, 21, and I, 23, have been dating for a few months now. We both bonded over the great outdoors, guns, and big trucks. When I first met her, there wasn't much to say but how cute she was. Add that with the fact she knew how to handle a gun and drove a truck with one hand on some dirt, uneven trails. She's perfect, honestly. But I've begun to notice some odd stuff as things started to settle down after the high of our new relationship. She rarely spoke about her parents or any family members, never even got to learn where she was from, or to be specific, the exact location. All I got was the usual, "I flock from the Midwest." She said it with a chuckle, like she just told a great joke, and gave me this look with a twinkle in her eyes that suggested she didn't want to talk about it anymore. So I dropped it, like I always did. Her residence wasn't the only thing that bothered me. She also doesn't seem to sleep, from what I know. Well, she does sleep, or at least I think she does, because there are times when I'd be sleeping and just wake up in the middle of the night and see her in bed next to me, reading a book or just sitting in the dark. And she seems to be fine in the morning, no bags, no fatigue, just a face full of energy that's ready to take the day by storm. Honestly, I don't know how she does it. Oh yeah, there's also the dogs and cats thing. She hates pets with a passion for some reason. When I suggested a puppy for our shared apartment, she quickly shut down the idea. But I guess the hatred was mutual, because every dog and cat that we encountered growled, hissed, snarled, or barked at her. There's also this one thing I noticed when we went camping this one time. I didn't think much of it, but it's starting to make more sense now that I think about it. After we parked our truck by the parking lot and signed off our names and headed into the woods, the forest was lively. Birds were singing, crickets and other insects were doing the usual anthem of the woods. But as we got to the epicenter of the noises, which is also the spot where we decided to set up, the noises just suddenly stopped. Nothing, no birds, no insects. Just eerie silence with a ominous breeze coming through. Got real quiet suddenly, didn't it? I said. But what she said next threw me off completely. That's just what happens when I'm around. You get used to it after a while. Her face was blank when she said that, no smile, and not even her usual snarky cringe she does usually. She was dead serious. I never really thought much about it at first, but I've been online recently and have seen multiple videos about skinwalkers, wendigos, and other paranormal stuff. A forest going quiet out of nowhere, according to a video I watched, is not a good sign, and it got me thinking ... was something in the area where we were, or was the woods reacting to her? I'm still on edge now, looking at her with that smile that I've come to find disturbing recently. I'll update as soon as I can if I find out more. Weird sticky notes keep showing up in my apartment. I live in a small studio apartment on the second floor of an older building. It's not in a bad neighborhood, but it's old enough that the hallways creak and the walls seem thinner than they should be. I would have never expected anything like this to ever happen to me. It's just me here. No pets, no roommates, no partner. I've lived here alone for over 4 months, and nothing like this has happened to anyone in my area. I'd like to say I keep things pretty routine before bed. I check that the door is locked and the single window above my little desk is latched shut. I've been doing it every night since I got here, almost without thinking about it. 2 nights ago, I woke up a little after 7 a.m. and went to the kitchen to make coffee. That's when I saw a bright yellow sticky note on the fridge, right at eye level. The handwriting was neat, almost careful, and it said, "Lock your window." I stared at it for a while, trying to remember if I'd left myself some weird reminder in the middle of the night. I don't drink, I don't take sleeping meds, and I don't leave random notes for myself. Still, I convinced myself I must have just forgotten to lock the window before bed, and maybe I wrote the note earlier and forgot. There couldn't possibly be any other explanation. That night I made sure the window was locked, slid the latch over, pushed on the frame twice just to be sure. I pulled the curtain closed tight. I even double-checked to make sure I actually locked it once before I went to bed. Despite everything, the next morning there was another sticky note on the fridge. Better. That one made my stomach twist. Nobody else has a key. I asked around, asked the landlord, even tried to get in contact with the people who lived here before I moved in to ask if anything unusual happened to them, but they didn't even see my message. The front door lock is brand new, something I had replaced the same day I moved in. The building's secure. The front door downstairs has a code lock, and you need a key to get into individual units. I called the landlord. He sounded annoyed, said he hasn't been in my apartment, and reminded me that it's against policy to enter without notice unless there's an emergency. He lives 2 floors down in the basement, and he's almost always there. He's not the type to sneak around. By then, I'd gone from unsettled to outright paranoid. I went out and bought a cheap Wi-Fi camera that connects to my phone. I set it up in the kitchen, facing the fridge. I kept the lights dim so the night vision would kick in. That night, I kept one eye on the feed while I watched TV. Every time I glanced at it, the fridge was there, nothing moving. Around 3:12 a.m., the feed glitched static for maybe 2 seconds. When it came back, everything looked exactly the same. I told myself it was just cheap equipment. This morning, there was another note. Stop. I was about to call the police when I'd noticed something I'd somehow missed before. The handwriting. It's mine. It's my handwriting. And now there's a 4th sticky note on the desk next to me. I didn't put it there. I would have seen someone walk in. See you tonight.